What's good, guys? Welcome back to Beat the Clock Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan MQ.
I'm your co-host, Big Ant. Appreciate y'all listening to BTC.
Yes, sir. The regular season's officially done, and now we're part of the NFL calendar where details matter more than talent. January football is about the wild card, the playoffs. We got the divisional round, but today we're going to hop into the games of the week and week 18, and our real focus is going to be the playoff picture and the coach carousel that's going on right now. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Here we go.
Starting off with our first game on Saturday night, we had the Panthers Bucs, and this game, the officials took over this game really early with several missed calls. And I don't know if you saw this, but on the pass to Rico Dowdle, they ruled the ball out of bounds when the ball never went out of bounds.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be one of the most ridiculous calls, maybe even NFL history, because I don't even know how you get to that, but Panthers ended up losing by 2 when kicker Ryan Fitzgerald missed the field goal early in the third quarter, which definitely hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers really failed to utilize Rico Dowdle with only 7 carries for 10 yards. Rookie Ted McMillan did have himself a day. He had 4 catches for 85 yards, giving Bryce Young a stable option in the playoffs where they'll go ahead against the Rams, which the Rams have been up and down on defense lately. And the Bucs ended up winning with a decent game from Baker, but the Falcons win gives Carolina hosting a playoff game. Last time they hosted was January 2016.
It's a long time.
I got a couple questions to ask you, Big Ant. Do the Panthers have a chance at home to win versus the Rams? They beat them earlier in the season, 31-28.
Not if they play like they've been playing the past 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of been sloppy offensively. The defense is still fine, but especially when you're playing a very good team like the Rams for a second time, it's going to be very hard to beat them. I know you're at home again, and that kind of does give you that little home field advantage, but this Rams team is very good. They are hungry. They have kind of gotten smacked around a bit, I will say, the past few weeks. I mean, like, they did get a big win over the Cardinals, but I think they're angry, and the Rams will come out stronger, and they're not going to let this Panthers team score 30 points again. And I don't think this Panthers team can score 30 points again against this defense. So, in my opinion, I just don't think they really have a chance. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is going to be a slaughter, but, this is huge for Carolina, and this is definitely a culture build, hosting a playoff game, especially, after the way they started the season. But, this is good for the Panthers, and, this help does build playoff experience for them. But obviously, the Rams are the season team here. They've, probably MVP Matthew Stafford, and they have one of the best coaches in the league, Sean McVay. So that's going to be tough to go against. But another question to ask you, is Baker's future or Todd Bowles' future, are they both done up here in Tampa?
I think Baker's fine where he's at. I think he just needs to play a little better. I'm like, that's kind of tough to say, but maybe it could be the offense. They lost Liam Cohen. Now he's over in Jacksonville, and it's kind of maybe a little bit different offense. You didn't have Mike Evans for a good section of the year. No Chris Godwin. Bucky Irving was out for a bit. So it's tough to play without your top guys. And I can say the same thing for a head coach, but I think Todd Bowles has made a lot of bad decisions in games.
Absolutely.
A lot of big leads and close games that shouldn't have been close. And I feel like they kind of do need a different locker room section there for the Buccaneers to kind of get over that hump of just like this very weak South. They've won, but they're only getting 9-10 wins, which is, it's just enough. Even though they didn't get it this year, but yeah, you got to compete better against the better team. You start out really hot and then cool down immediately. One of the worst teams since starting out 6-2. So I'd like to see Todd Bowles in a different team or maybe in a coordinator position somewhere else. But I think a head coaching change in Tampa would really help.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. He has been one of the worst in-game decision making, especially with clock management and his play calling. But yeah, he definitely deserves to get fired. Surprised he hasn't been so yet. Um, but with Baker, I agree. I think, at least one more year, um, especially with a new head coach. But yet again, if that doesn't work out, Baker is getting up there in age where you can always draft a rookie, which this quarterback class, is very wish-washy. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think he deserves one more year, and Todd Bowles needs to get fired immediately.
Yeah, it also works out because I think they got one more year on Baker's contract.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they might not give him that extension or whatever he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. All right, so the next game was Saturday night, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big
Correct.
game for the number one seed in the NFC, the Seahawks and the Niners. Seattle's defense absolutely stifled this Niners offense. They held one of the best league high offenses in recent history to just 3 points the entire game and a season low 173 yards. The Seahawks controlled the clock for most of the game. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet rushed for about 180 yards. Charbonnet also scored the game's only touchdown. It was a 27-yard run. Brock Purdy was held to 127 yards and an interception. CMC was limited and had a crucial drop pass, which resulted to an interception. And the Seahawks got the win, and they got the bye, which is huge. You get to rest your guys and see who you get to play, whoever's worse. So this was a very big game for both sides, and it really affected whoever was going to lose because you don't get a home game,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to play next week. So, yeah, there's just a lot going in here. But one big question to ask, Big Rye, is this more about Seattle's defense being elite or San Fran's offense being fragile when things aren't super perfect?
Honestly, I think it goes both ways. I think, Seattle's obviously had the best defense this season. I would say that. I think a lot of people would say that. But, San Francisco's been hot on offense. That's why we've seen these big games, but they're not going to have these big games as we saw versus Seattle. You know, they definitely aren't perfect when things are fragile, especially when you play one of the best defenses in the NFL, and that's where they're going to struggle in the playoffs. You know, they have barely any weapons on the offense, especially if, Brandon Ayuk being gone all year. Their receiver one's Ricky Pearsall, who somehow finds his way injured every week, and Juwan Jennings, who is trying to get in a fight with anybody. Um, and if Christian McCaffrey is not going to be able to, have the game he usually does, then they're going to struggle. And that's the same with Brock Purdy. He's had big games, but he's not going to have these huge games every week. So I think that's definitely their weakness coming into the playoffs because they're very hot and cold. But that's why they got a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. So, I mean, Niners are going to be fine come playoffs, but if they have another game like this, especially if they play the Seahawks, I think their season's over. But with this being said, I think Seattle is definitely my favorite to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I love that take, Big Rye. San Fran, they have been hot and cold all year with the constant changes in the roster with the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I know, shout out to Kyle Shanahan. He's really he almost got the number one seed, even though he fell through. But I think he really kept his cool under pressure when things weren't going super great. When you had Mac Jones back there and your wide receivers were injured, almost half your defense starters were out. And I think the San Fran team can still be a very good team. When you, again, like I said before, when you play a team like a second time, you're going to play a little better because you know how they're going to play. You know what they want to do. You know how to do it. Same goes for the other side, but I like Kyle Shanahan's veteran status in this situation. So if they do play Seattle again, I think they could edge out a win, even on the road.
Absolutely.
And then another question would be, does this performance really change how you view Brock Purdy going to the playoffs?
I mean, not necessarily. Obviously, he's going to have a bad game, but the only thing that this tells me is that he's going to struggle versus a good defense. Now, if you look at a couple of teams in the playoffs right now, I don't think we should be too worried. If you look at the Packers, who haven't had a great defense all year, the Bears, who haven't had a great defense all year, I mean, the Panthers, who've had a mid defense, if you look at all these teams, and even the Rams, even though they do have a good defense, they like going shootout for shootout. So even the Eagles' defense has been pretty bad this year. But I mean, honestly, this doesn't concern me because just looking at these defenses in the playoffs, especially in the NFC, I mean, when you look at the AFC, it's a completely different story. But I don't think I'm worried about this, especially, if they don't play Seattle.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to disagree. I like the defenses in the NFC. Panthers, I felt like have played pretty well, way above expectations. Rams have played very well over maybe the past few weeks. They've slowed down, but this Eagles defense is still very good, and it's the main reason why they're in the playoff. The Eagles offense is where they have been really struggling, but the Eagles have held a lot of teams to under 20 points, and the Eagles score less than 20 points. So I think this Eagles defense is going to give Brock Purdy a bit of a struggle, but I think he can pull out something. But what I said earlier about the question, I don't think it changes how I view Brock Purdy, especially because he's still under 26, 27. He's still super young, so I think he could still he could still play very well. Even if he doesn't play good in this one, I think he has a lot of bright future upcoming.
Absolutely. And moving on, we had probably almost maybe one of the games of the year. Ravens Steelers. I mean, there wasn't much in the first half other than, the Ravens and Steelers being very mediocre. But let's talk about this fourth quarter. And, after a tight back and forth game, the Steelers took a lead late in the fourth quarter on a 26-yard touchdown from, Aaron Rodgers, Calvin Austin, with about a minute left. I think you definitely don't give Lamar Jackson that much time to go down the field because we've seen this before from him. But Chris Boswell missed the extra point, which he hasn't missed in over 4 years. Now something came out saying the kick actually got blocked, so that actually will not go against his record.
Okay.
But it was a 2-score game, and Ravens easily drove down the field, and there was still 11 seconds left. They had a timeout. I'm surprised they just decided to run down the clock instead of, maybe going up a couple yards. You literally have one of the best running backs in the league. But rookie kicker Tyler Luke pushed a 44-yard, and it went wide right as time expired, ending the Ravens season, ending John Harbaugh in Baltimore, and sending the Steelers to the playoffs. So, I mean, this game was just a roller coaster for sure. I do have a question to ask you. Pittsburgh won the division, but still faces a tough matchup in Houston. Does this feel like a momentum or a fragile victory?
In my opinion, it's a fragile victory. I just don't really think they deserve that win.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens went down. They did their job. I'm going to go back to your point about you said earlier. They just need the ball with 11 seconds. And I think they called the timeout, or they had time to run a run play. And, Derrick Henry, he's kind of had his fumble struggles, but I'm giving it to the big guy. Give me 5 extra yards. Give my rookie kicker a little more chance to make this kick. Instead, he went back 2 yards to knee the ball. It just doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the Steelers. It was kind of a fragile victory because they didn't deserve the win, and they played very bad offensively and defensively. They didn't really give Lamar a lot of pressure that entire game. And there's a lot of they sent almost 8 guys on like 4th down twice, and the Ravens were able to get multiple touchdowns off that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you send 8 guys, you'd expect them to get home, but Lamar had all day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Houston easily takes a game in Pittsburgh. So, what about you?
Yeah, I most definitely agree. I think Aaron Rodgers is having nightmares about this Houston defense right now. And arguably, they have one of the best, probably, I'm not going to say best, but the scariest defense in the league because they got guys that are going to knock you out of the game on every cylinder. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm scared to play this team. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm like, shit. But no, yeah, the Steelers shouldn't even be in this position, to be honest. There's more of a reason why the Ravens should be in this playoff, but I mean both teams don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. If I had to, if I had to say so myself, to be honest,
For sure.
I would rather see like the Jets go play the Texans than to watch one of these teams. It'd be more interesting, to be honest, if I had to say so myself. But
The Jets.
I mean, I'm just naming out a team there, but I'd rather go watch some bummy team play the Texans and watch one of these mid teams that are going to get dominated on anyway.
All right, watch the Colts. They just played them a good game.
No,
30 points.
I don't care about the
They
Colts.
scored 30 points.
I don't care about
the
Colts.
Texans this week.
I don't care. Colts aren't a good team, but moving on with that, we're gonna hop into our playoffs. We're gonna give you predictions at the end of the pod, but we're each of us are gonna give you one thing what each team needs to do to win. So starting off this Rams at Panthers game, what I think is the Rams need to control the game with Matthew Stafford early. If Stafford can get comfortable in the first quarter, which he couldn't do, last time they played, he threw 2 picks and threw a pick 6, and and they forced Carolina in the coverage adjustments. The Rams can dictate the tempo and keep the Panthers from leaning on their defense and crowd energy. Well, I think the Panthers need to protect Bryce Young, and they need explosive plays. This isn't about the volume; it's about playing timely. If Bryce Young stays clean and connects on a few big plays, Carolina can keep this close late and make uncomfortable for LA.
Yeah, I like that. Big thing, just give Bryce Young space and time to make good throws. But I think a big thing for the Panthers is get the run game going. Rico Dowdle shown he's been a very good back, and I think it was a big reason why they didn't win last week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Carries in a rainy game. I just don't understand. Yeah, get that run game going. It really opens up the pass game and allows Bryce Young to make good on time throws. But for the Rams, I think offensively, yeah, they need to be a lot more confident, and Matthew Stafford needs to know who he is. He can't be throwing pick sixes, fumbling the ball. I think big thing, Matthew Stafford just got to take care of the ball. That's the reason they lost last time. 3 turnovers by himself, and that was just the biggest reason why they lost.
Absolutely. Moving on, we have Niners at Eagles. For the 49ers, I think they need to win up front. If the Philadelphia is going to collapse the pocket, without blitzing every time, then, Brock Purdy in this offense is going to struggle for sure. So I think if you just keep the pressure off Brock Purdy, give him time to throw, I think that's the main way you're going to win this game, and, keep CMC involved. And then moving on. Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Sorry, you get Philly's point?
Yeah, I'm about to do Philly here. I need to see him start fast and play from ahead. Philadelphia can't afford a slow start. I mean, we've seen it all season long how they lost. That's how they lost to the Giants. But if they score early and force the Niners into catch up mode, it changes the entire game script.
Yeah, I like those takes. I'd say for Philly, kind of keep Brock Purdy in the pocket. When they get that off schedule stuff, it's kind of where the entire Eagles defense really struggles, and especially the secondary, because you're gonna have to hold them for an extra 5 seconds when you really only can hold them for 3. But for San Fran, I'd say give Hurts some pressure, and that's kind of where they've been struggling all year. But if they can give Hurts just a little bit of pressure, maybe hopefully every other play that they run, I think they'd have a great chance for defensively to be very good and win the game.
Absolutely. Moving on, Packers at Bears. Packers need to win the turnover battle. Green Bay can't give the Bears short fields. We've seen, how Caleb Williams can, come back. We've seen Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's one of the best offensive coaches in the league, even though he's first-year head coach. But if this game stays clean, the Packers' experience gives them a chance. For the Bears, let Caleb Williams be aggressive early. Not reckless, obviously, but, aggressive. If Caleb can set the tone early, the Bears feed off of it, and the crowd becomes a real factor, playing in Chicago.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Get Caleb Williams out and give him time, give him give them guys to throw to,
Mhm.
But I'd say one big thing for the Bears is get that run game going. It'd probably be a
Mhm.
windy day in Chicago. So if they're able to get that run game going, they can really get the pass game. And then for the Packers, I'd say defensively, you're missing your top guy. Give Caleb Williams pressure. With the
Mhm.
opposite of what I just said for the Bears. But yeah, just give them pressure for the game, and I think they can come out with a win.
Absolutely. And moving on to the AFC, we have the Texans at Steelers. For the Texans, I think they need to stay patient and trust CJ Stroud. Pittsburgh thrives on chaos. If Houston avoids mistakes and lets Stroud manage the game, Steelers lose their biggest advantage. And for the Steelers, I think they need to win on defense and special teams. They don't need 30 points. They just need field position, pressure, and one or two game-changing plays, which we've seen from them all season long.
Yeah, I'd say big thing for the Steelers is try to win the turnover battle. Because,
Hmm.
like you said, CJ Stroud will manage the game, take a lot of time off the clock offensively, and this Houston's defense is very good. So if you can get that short field for the Steelers offense,
Hmm.
that'd be huge. So they can get 3 or 6 points on the scoreboard. But for Houston, just keep what you've been doing up all year
Hmm.
defensively. Just be strong, super fast. Just give big hits when you can, and it should be a good game.
Moving on, Bills at Jags. 3 words: protect the football for the Bills. If Josh Allen avoids turnovers, then Buffalo controls this game. It's that simple. For the Jags, force Josh Allen to hero mode. Quite the opposite. Jags need to speed him up, create pressure, and bait risky throws, which is how he's been playing all season long. That's why the Bills are sitting at 11-6.
Yeah, I'd say for the Jags, just keep the offense going. Get some good momentum. Don't let it stall out. Don't let it go 3 and out every other down. But for the Bills, I'd say defensively, they just need to not let the Jags get those explosive plays, and that's kind of where they've been the best so far.
Absolutely. Moving on, Chargers at Patriots. For the Chargers, let Justin Herbert attack downfield early. If the Chargers play conservative, this turns into a grind. Pat's defense has not been great this year, to be honest. Early explosive plays flip the pressure on the New England. For the Patriots, they need to control the tempo with defense and situational football. Third down, red zone, clock management. If the Pats drag this into the fourth quarter, I think they like their chances.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I'd say for the Pats, just give they should be able to get a lot of pressure on Justin Herbert. He already has 54 sacks on him this year in 16 games. Yeah, and then for the Chargers, I'd say I don't know. This one's tough because I feel like they're kind of well rounded, but they also need a lot of help everywhere. But I'd say if they can get the run game going for them, because they have a lot of good backs with Kamani Vidal and Hampton, and the receivers kind of have struggled this year. And if you
Oh
allow
yeah.
that one-on-one, I think that's where the Chargers can really explode.
Absolutely. Moving on to some NFL news. Trayvon Diggs cut from the Cowboys immediately. The only team to put a waiver claim on him was the Packers. Commanders move on from both their coordinators.
Mm.
Expect to see Cliff Kingsbury in the coach carousel for sure. And the Cowboys fire Matt Eberflus, probably one of the worst coaches in the league. I'm going to be honest. I don't even know how he's had a job for this long. Some other coaches that got fired: John Harbaugh, Kevin
Yeah.
Stefanski, Pete Carroll, Jonathan Gannon, and Raheem Morris, as well as the Giants and the Titans move on from their interim head coaches. Let's do some of our predictions. Who do you think the Giants are going to get?
Obviously, we're gonna probably talk about this a little more in depth, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone's saying Harbaugh. I like Harbaugh. I think he's the safe choice, and I think he's the right choice. But he has had a lot of success
Mm-hmm.
in Baltimore, and I think that's kind of what the Giants are looking for. They're looking for the veteran type coach that has done it successfully over a long period of time, and he gives that to you. So I think Harbaugh definitely goes to the Giants if he wants to be there.
I definitely agree. I think, Giants need a culture reset. They
Yeah.
need some stability, and I think John Harbaugh will like the big market. For the Ravens, who do you got?
They might go somewhere else with this one, because they had Mike McDonald, and he of course he went to the uh, the the Seahawks, and the word is he was supposed to be the next big thing in Baltimore after Harbaugh was done,
Mhm.
but Harbaugh stayed and Mike McDonald left, so I think it could come down to another defensively head coach, Chris Shula, with the Rams. They'll probably request to interview him. And I think that would be a very good fit for him. The Ravens thrive on when they have a good defense. And this defense does need a bit of a culture change. And I think he can hopefully give it to him.
I agree. I agree that they need a defensive head coach, but I'm going in a different direction. I'm going Brian Flores.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
he's been one of the best, defensive guys, and he did good stuff in Miami.
Hmm.
Um, their defensive identity needs to stay intact, and he can take accountability.
Yeah, I like that.
Who do you got for the Falcons?
Falcons. This one's tough
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like they're kind of everywhere with this. I don't really see a big future for the Falcons. So this is kind of like one of the jobs you don't really want.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of guys have been looking to be a head coach for a while now, so I like Brian Flores could be the guy there defensively.
I'm going in a different direction. I'm going the two-time Coach of the Year winner, Kevin Stefanski. He's got a QB friendly system, and I think this offense needs some clarity.
Yeah, I like that pick.
For the Browns.
There's a lot of names. I don't really know all the guys out there, but I think they want to build an offense. So
Mhm.
if you can get one of those offensively head coaches, either he be a brand new head coach or a guy that's been doing it for a while. But I don't really know all the names. Maybe Mike McCarthy, new guy, Clint Kubiak, maybe he wants out. It could be Mike Kafka. You never know.
Mhm.
I'm not too sure about this one though.
I'm gonna go with Cliff Kingsbury. I think we saw him in Arizona. He wasn't amazing, but when he was the offense coordinator last season for the Washington Commanders, they had one of the best offenses in the league last year with rookie Jane Daniels, and I think that's what the Chicago or Cleveland wants to build with Shador, or if they want to go in a different direction than the draft. But he's got upside, and he's got a good modern offense that I think could help the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have for the Cardinals?
We just did the Cardinals though, or we did the
No,
Browns?
we just did the Browns.
Oh jeez. I don't know, dude. They have to go.
I got Vance Joseph. He has familiarity with a team like this, and I think this team needs a defensive rebuild.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have someone for the Titans?
I only had those 4 teams. So.
Okay, well, for the Titans, I got Raheem Morris. I think he was building a decent locker room in Atlanta. They just, couldn't get over the hump, but I think they need a guy like him. They got a young roster, and he really wasn't that bad of a head coach, even though, I was giving him some shit a couple weeks ago, but I think, a new situation for him in Tennessee could help.
Sure.
And for the Raiders, take a guess who I got, Big Ant.
Dude, I have no.
I got Brian Dable going to.
Shoot, man.
He has ties with Tom Brady, the majority owner, minority owner, sorry. In Vegas, we saw Dable. He's a good quarterback developer, and I think that's what they want to build with their first overall pick. Dable can build a strong presence, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think if you give him a team like this, he can help.
Yeah, I like that. Former coach of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't really see him really choosing the guy he wants for the Raiders. I don't think Mendoza is going to be all that. And it kind of seems like he's the consensus number 1 guy currently. But
yeah,
we'll see. I like that pick though.
Thank you. Okay, let's round this out with our predictions for each game, starting with the Rams Panthers. I got the Rams.
Yeah, pretty obviously the Rams. Yeah, I think they'll pretty much dominate this entire game.
Mm-hmm. For the Niners Eagles, I got the Niners.
This one's close. I'm kind of conflicted on this one. I'm gonna take the Eagles. Go the opposite of
Okay.
you. I think
All right.
better team. Like they got the 3 seed for a reason, but this Niners
Mhm.
team, I think this Phillies defense can really shut down San Fran's offense.
For Packers Bears, I'm taking the better team, obviously, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I don't think I'll take the better team. I'll take the Packers. With Jordan Love back. One thing defensively the Packers need to do they just need to play strong, play. It's like it is your last game of the season, so why not?
Yeah, quite literally. Texans Steelers, I think this is obvious. The Texans for sure.
Yeah, Texas defense is just too elite for the Steelers offense.
Bills Jags, I have the Chicago or the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I like that upset. I'm gonna take the Bills as well. I think Josh Allen can hopefully get to the Super Bowl this year, and I said that earlier this year, and I think he can.
Chargers Patriots, giving me my upset. The Los Angeles Chargers.
I like it. Rye, you said that the Chargers couldn't make the AFC Championship, and I think they can. But
yeah, it's not gonna happen. They'll beat
it's gonna be tough.
This cupcake Patriots team, but
I think the Patriots is a little better. The Chargers are way too beat up.
That's fair enough. That was another episode of Beat the Clock podcast. We'll have some bonus episodes coming out soon. We'll definitely go in depth about the playoff games next week. We'll have a mock draft coming out soon, so make sure you look out for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I am your host, Ryland MQ.
Yep, I'm your co-host, Big A. Appreciate it. You'll listen to BTC.
Yes, sir. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and one day we'll get on TikTok.
Nah, probably not.
We'll see you guys later. Peace.